Give them a shot to do what?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode of the Protect Our Queens podcast presented by the mighty Give Us a Shot Network. I'm here, Martin's here, and we have a very special guest on the show with us today. Joining us is the Director of Player Development for the Chicago Sky, Mr. Chaz Franklin. I can't wait. I know that Martin can't wait. So let's just get right into the good stuff, man.
Protect our queens.
No matter what it takes, we must protect our queen.
I just love playing the game. It's fun.
I'm reacting on what the defender does.
I hit them with a hezzy. After that, they quit.
Yeah, I think I've always just been able to get downhill, so I've sort of prided myself on that.
I know what I'm doing. Like, people can't tell me I'm not doing the right, I've been taught the right way.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
Sir, gentlemen, how we doing tonight? How we doing?
My man, Chaz Franklin. What's going on, man? How you feeling?
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening. Good evening. I've been waiting.
It's great to see you, man. It's great to have you on. You know, this is Protect Our Queens. We are not shy about how we feel about women's basketball. And, you know, it's been real hectic lately. You know, Marcus and I, we today was an especially hectic day when we put out things telling people about themselves. We seem to press some buttons. So we're excited to have you on. We want to get your reactions to a couple things we've been talking about lately, and talk about what you've been doing and your work, which we're both huge fans of. So I want to start with this, bro. How did Chaz Franklin out of South Philly end up being a player development coach for a WNBA team? Walk me through how we got to this point.
Well, I say initially it started out with a former player for the Sky. Her name is Keisha Hampton. She's still playing internationally right now. She and I met in 2018 at just a chance meeting at a Pro-Am in Philadelphia. She was recovering from an injury. I was recovering. At that time, I was still like playing part-time and coaching part-time over in Europe. So we decided, you know what, we'll do our rehab together over the summer. We'll give it one last push before we decide whether we're going to retire or not. So we woke up 5 a.m. every single morning. We had this place we called the Dungeon, right? So it's like this parking garage in Philadelphia, 30th and Market. Is 11 stories up. We'd start at the basement and sprint all the way up, right? 11 flights of stairs. And we would do that 5 straight times, and we'd run other sprints when the roof's out. It was like some Rocky 3 type vibe that we had going on. So she became like a sister to me, you understand? And subsequently, unbeknownst to me, she was good friends and a former teammate with Kalia Copper. And so I had no idea of that, and that just, it's just kind of how things just tend to work out. And then maybe last year, maybe 2022 now. Yeah, 2022, I would say. Kalia didn't go to Europe during the off season. He said, "Hey, I'm gonna be in Philly, man. Could we possibly work together?" At the time, I was coaching at Millersville University in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I was an assistant coach in the women's basketball program, so I was commuting back and forth Philly to Lancaster. And I was like, I don't know, Kai. I mean, for a finals a WNBA finals MVP, maybe I can find some time in my hectic schedule, right, to work with you a bit, right? So that was, we already knew each other casually prior to, but that's when our bond kind of started, and it was up from there.
Wow. That's amazing to me. That's amazing to me. Now, I personally would not be running up 11 flights of stairs 5 times in a row. I wouldn't do that. But no, that's amazing. I think so. One of the things I think is super interesting as well is you didn't. It's like it kind of feels when you read your story, it kind of feels like it comes out of nowhere, right? But like it really didn't, because like you've been doing basketball for a long time. You're a 15-year pro. You play basketball 15 years. You play ball overseas at like your experience of basketball going from being a player now to being a coach. Like, what was that transition like for you? Was that a difficult transition to make at all? What was that like for you?
Well, it was a natural transition for me. I did play. I played 15 years and I played till I was 40 years old. During the back third of my career. I mean, at the end of the day, you're probably too old to truly contribute physically, right? So you have something else to offer a team or younger players or organization or however you want to label it. So I kind of grew into a mentorship role with younger players. Initially, it started during the summertime with guys that played in the Big Five. Sammy Givens, the name one, really good friend of mine. This is many, many, many years ago. And I would just start working out with guys during the off season, and they kept me young. So I kind of gave them, some of the tricks of the trade that I had learned over the years, and they gave me youth and energy and kept me going, right? And that's how the relationships formed. So it was a natural transition for me. I never knew that I was going in that direction. That wasn't my intention. I initially intended to be a school teacher when I stopped playing basketball, but I guess, as they say, God had other plans. So, so here we are today. Yep.
And so you have trained boys and girls,
right?
And so, were you training both at first when you first started out training, or was it boys first, and then how did girls come into play?
Okay, many people don't know this. The first player I ever quote unquote trained was a young lady, a 7th grade girl by the name of Andrea Hines in Delaware. Right at the Bear Glasgow YMCA in Delaware. This was like, I don't know, maybe around 2010-ish. It was many years ago. I was there working out in the summer, and this little puny little girl goes, "Hey, teach me how to dribble like that," because I used to dribble with 2 basketballs all the time. Teach me that. I'm like, "Listen, kid, I'm getting ready. I'm going overseas. I don't got time." No, teach me. She was just so persistent, and frankly, she was annoying, right? This little girl, but she was persistent, and I love that about her, because I saw some of myself in her. So I said, I'll show you one thing. And that turned into, from 7th grade through college, Andrea Hines and myself being like this. Wow. Right? So that's how it started. And subsequently, so I guess I did start with girls. And subsequently, Andrea Hines and Kalia Copper ended up being AAU teammates.
Wow.
So the first time I worked out with Kyle, we posted a picture, and here comes Andrea, a blast from the past. Yo, that's my guy. And here we have it. So my first person I ever trained was actually a girl. Yep.
And where did Andrea play in college?
She ended up playing at the University of Central Florida.
Nice.
Yep.
Wow.
I think she was like second on the all-time assist leaderboard. She went to Sanford High School or Academy in Delaware and won like a couple state championships. Wow. There was another young lady that used to train with us occasionally, a good friend of Andrea. It was, I didn't know who it was at the time because they're 7th graders. They're 6th and 7th graders. Come to find out, it was Benaja Laney. Right? Now, this is 7th grade, so she's not who she is today. She was always talented, right?
Sure.
But it's just so funny how these things are kind of like interconnected. And then, we end up getting to the W, and we play New York, and I'm seeing her, and I remember her mother, and now she's tall, and then she's a Rutgers kid and Kalia. So it just all comes full circle. So it's just been just an incredible journey and blessing, and it all just kind of tied in.
Yeah, it's speaking of intertwined and connections, I was a Rutgers kid. I grew up in the area. I lived not far from New Brunswick, and Coach Stringer went to my dad's church. Wow. And I grew up Tasha Pointer and Cappy Pondexter. Those are my big sisters right there. So Kalia and Benaja and that Rutgers connection is definitely strong over here, man. And I wonder, like, training Andrea, was that your, I know you said that was the first person you trained. Was that like was that your first time being up close with a young girl, teaching her the game? So after having that experience and then training boys, like what was your experience with the girl? I mean, clearly she was hungry. She wanted to learn. But even, I mean, get into any memories or details or things that surprised you or that you noticed about just what it was like training a girl versus training the boys.
Right. So I think the main thing that I learned from Andrea, and typically with training girls and women, just even to this day, right? There's this unspoken underdog mentality. There's this chip on the shoulder, right? Because people, we're progressing. The women's game is progressing, right? I mean, we see it. That's why we're here today, right? Right, to protect our queens and talk about women's sports. That's what we're talking about, right? But there's still this thing, right, where it's quote unquote girls basketball, women's basketball, right? That kind of thing. And I found through training on Andrea, man, I'm taken to this girl because you know what she had? Fire. Because she was slighted because she was a girl. And I felt like that as a player, not because I was a girl, but I had my own child. Oh, you're not tall enough. You're not good enough. You're not enough of this. You can't do that. Oh, you should just do this. You're a great student. Why don't you just be a doctor? Don't worry about basketball. I mean, I had a 6th grade teacher tell me, son, if you were going anywhere in basketball, they'd be recruiting you now. I'm like, man, I don't even have a mustache yet. I'm in the 6th grade. Why are you trying to crush me? Right? I'm a good student. I'm taking care of my business and in the classroom. Let me dream. So he tried to crush me, right? A 12-year-old, 11-year-old Chaz Franklin. So I always had this defiant kind of nature as it pertains to my training and work ethic. And I see that in a lot of young ladies and women in the WNBA as well. So that's where the connection kind of comes from me.
Did you had you watched? Were you inspired by, or were you a fan of women like WNBA players or anyone prior to that? Like, did you have the knowledge that like women could hoop before you up to training Andrea?
100%. In my college yearbook, first of all, when I was in college, my junior and senior year, I wore a headband. That's for one, right? Yeah. I wore a headband. And you have the media guide and they say, who's your favorite athlete? You know who my favorite athlete was at the time? Nikki Teasley, Los Angeles Sparks. Right? Point guard, wheeling and deal. And she just had the flow. It was the flow. And
hey, Chaz, Marcus don't know about that Nikki Teasley. But we going into the archives now, baby.
I'm saying. I was, I was just a sports junkie. I still am just a sports junkie all the way. So it could be the NBA. It could be the WNBA. It was like the ABL, right? Like whatever I could get my hands on, right? I was just addicted to it, and I just enjoyed all of it, right? Anything that I could see. I mean, they had a Dawn Staley. They had a big 3-story mural of her on 6th and Market back in the day, back when the Olympics. This is way back in the day, and they gave out all of these Nike little rubber bands, and I caught that one, right? I had one. I got one. They were throwing them out on Market Street, and I got one. I said, man, I'm gonna try to get the Olympics one day like that lady. I don't know who that lady is, but I like that she got a big thing right there, and I want to be like her, which is crazy. I don't know why I was thinking like this at such a young age, and it was Dawn Staley. So I always had a thing about basketball. It didn't matter to me that it was women. I didn't care about that. I just loved the game in itself. Yeah. Yep.
You talk a lot about, and you said this a couple of times, when your approach to training is one where you don't look at your players as X's and O's. You look at them as people. Where'd that come from? How'd that start? And then what is it about that makes that connection that you forge with your players when you're training them so different, when you treat them as, people instead of just X's and O's?
Well, I mean, part of it is, I guess, essentially from my time even dating back to high school, right? Like during my younger years, sometimes, man, like I always just had this approach. You're not a better human being than someone else because you bounce a ball, right? And you're not a better human being than someone because you tell them how to bounce a ball. And I've had some great coaches and mentors over the years, but I also had some terrible ones too, right? And they didn't really care about who you were, what you were going through, anything outside of the concept of what we were doing on the floor, right? Or like on the court. And that always bothered me, right? Like I wasn't necessarily like looking for a pat on the back or a big hug or anything like that, right? But the reality is they're always preaching, hey, you know what? The game is 10% physical and 90% mental, right? So if it's 90% mental, shouldn't it matter what's going on in my head and what's going on in my life and those kind of struggles? These guys, some of these guys, I mean, they may not even know your first name. And then you get over to Europe, right? You get overseas. Right? You are an X. Actually, you're an X, you're an O, you're the import, right? You're the hired gun. Now I'm home or I'm wherever I am overseas, and I'm playing for my livelihood and the livelihood of my family, and so that I can send my mother money home. It's a lot that comes with that, right? Like basketball has a great intrinsic value to me, but when you start putting it all of the other stuff on, it's a lot of pressure that comes with that, right? Those things just go out the window when the money's on the line. So as I coach people, boys, girls, men, women, whoever, I try to make sure I'm cognizant and aware of the fact, this is a person, man, that, right, they had a dream. This is a kid. This is a 5-year-old kid, a 6-year-old kid, right? They're growing up. They may not be 6 anymore, but they had a dream. They had a vision. They had a purpose. There's something they wanted to be. So I look at it as more like a thing where almost like you on assignment from God, right? Yo, you supposed to protect them. Yo, you supposed to lead them. You're supposed to help them, tell them the right things. Don't condone the stupid stuff everybody's telling them to do. Treat them like that's somebody's son. That's somebody's daughter, right? Like you're kind of helping them to manage their gift. So that's my approach. And it's worked for me thus far.
It has, brother. It has, man. We so appreciate just your energy and your spirit. Like I can definitely say, like, I really appreciate just your approach and the energy that you give to the game. Chaz, I find myself not being able to train too many players nowadays because what I tell them is like, this ain't just training. We in a relationship now. You're in a relationship with me. I tell the parents, I say, yo, they got the cell phone. I need the cell phone number. I need the schedule. I need the this, that. Like, we need to have a relationship. If we're about to get into this journey, there's a relationship. It has to be a relationship, and it's not to say that it can't be, that it has to be personal, one-on-one or private, whatever. It's just that relationship has to be bigger than just, like you said, coming in and doing your reps and doing the skill stuff and nothing else. Like, nothing. They're not talking about anything else. Not talking about your day or what's going on at home or anything like that. Like, not to say we have to be therapists or anything, but as mentors, as you put it, the mentorship part of it is just as important. Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely. I agree. We start out, I guess one of the things that kind of got out there as far as what workouts would be, like one thing I didn't know that was different, just, I guess, being yourself, just being authentic. We would start every workout and I would kind of speak over my players, right? Just positive words. Yo, you gonna get healthy this year. Keisha Hampton, when the knee was bothering her, well, guess what? That was your last time being hurt. You're gonna be healthy this year. Get yourself together. I had guys at Drexel. Lucas, Lucas Monroe, get ready because your year's coming. You're starting this year, big guy. We don't know, but I'm just keep putting it out there, right? Kalia Copper, she would tell you, guess what? You're shooting over 40% this year, and you're super maxing. How about that, right? And they'll tell you, right? Dana Evans. Dana and I will walk around, right? She's shorter than me. That's the only person taller than, right? Is Dana Evans. And every time we start a workout, we got to take a walk. All of us, we got to take a walk around the gym. And we ain't talking about how we're going to play screen and roll or what coverages. Are we going to ice? Are we going to over, under? We're not talking about anything technical. I want to know who's your favorite. Oh, okay. We like Ride Wave. Excuse me. Ask the guy, yo, can you put Ride Wave on when Dan is working out? It get in a good flow, please. How's your mom? How's dad? Wow. Okay. Everything cool? Everything good to go? All right. Now let's talk about this 2-dribble pull-up a little bit, but now I know you're in a good space. Oh, yeah, they called you Mittens, too, when you was a 7-year-old because you was a great on-ball defender. You ain't know I knew that, did you? Can you do some of that here for the Sky? Because we love it, right? And so you got a thing going, and that's what helps a lot.
That's beautiful.
Your perspective of basketball is a unique one because you have the experience, you have obviously the play, and then you have this very unique experience and this take on coaching and developing basketball players, right? One of the things that Martin and I spend a lot of our time doing, spend a lot of our time today actually doing in our Instagram comments is proclaiming and defending the eliteness of the women's game, right? Because there are a lot of people who, whether they're tapped in or not, will say women's basketball is not elite. So from your perspective, as a director of player development, as someone who has trained girls, as someone who is a fan of the game, as someone who has played the game, walk us through not only what it takes to develop a WNBA player, but because you have the eyes, walk us through just how elite the talent at that level is. Because Martin and I can sit here and say it because we're seeing it from our couch, but you have up close personal with your own two eyes experience of just how elite these girls are, these women are on all levels of women's basketball. So talk to us about the development of a women's basketball player. Talk to us about just how elite this talent really is on this level.
Right. So especially today, especially this modern era, this new generation, I don't know where they're creating these people. Every time I turn around, it's another one, it's another one, it's another one, right? Right. I can give you a million stories about how elite they are. When I saw you guys intro, right? I see Hannah in the intro. She's my cousin-in-law. See, I've been hearing about, I've been seeing, hearing. She's been coming for a minute now, right? But I'll give you a better one. You had Diamond Johnson. Here's one.
Philly.
Johnson. I'm me. Not the greatest guy, but I'm better than a lot of these guys. I mean, I was a professional, right?
Mm-hmm.
We used to work out at Owen Reed High School in South Philadelphia. That's right. South Philadelphia is right across the street from Tasker Projects. They got a superstar over there right now by the name of Shayla Smith, right? She's got more points faster in the public league than Dawn Staley and Kalia Copper and anybody you want to name. She's got like almost 1,800 some points already. Junior. Champion as a sophomore. Go check out, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think we lost your audio.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. That's you too. We can't hear you, bro. We can't hear you, bro.
Am I back?
Yep.
All right. Good to
Yeah,
go.
yeah, we got you now. Right after Shayla.
You guys are muted right now. Everything good to go?
We're good.
Yeah, we're good. Yep.
I don't hear you guys. Okay, I can't hear you.
Can you hear us? He can't hear us?
He can't hear us.
Can
we can have him
bring him back on?
Yeah, let's bring him out, pull him back on.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah, let's do that. Get him back on here.
Let me see. We got you.
See if we can. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us now?
I don't know if we can hear him either.
Oh man, I have no idea what happened here.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what
we can do.
Can do.
Let's try to refresh the web page. I think would be. Oh man, apologies about the technical difficulties, people. We're gonna have Chaz refresh and then we'll come back.
Yeah. Try to get him back on here. Yo, check. Can you hear us?
You hear? He's talking.
Still nothing?
Still nothing.
Oh, man. Man, this is weird.
I don't even know how to fix it. This hasn't happened before. Only thing I can think to do is starting up a whole new stream, really.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Man, I'm trying to see. Did anything change?
I don't think so.
I think so. It was just random.
Yeah. I don't even know how to fix.
Does restarting the stream does that make sense?
I think we might have to do that. It'll be a completely new link, a completely new everything.
Right. Yeah.
I think that might be the only option.
Only thing to do.
Yeah. If I gotta do that, I gotta do that. I don't mind.
All right. Yeah, we might. I guess so.
Let me get it up. What's that? Oh, Germ's popped in to see if he can help us out. Actually.
All right. Alrighty.
I don't even know what to do.
Yeah, it just cut out. It just cut out randomly.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yo.
Yeah.
Hey, it's just live. It's just live TV.
Don't worry about.
Only live. Yeah. So Chaz's audio cut out of nowhere, and then it came back, but now he can't hear us, and we also now can't hear him either. So we're not exactly.
His microphone's unmuted, and Chaz can't hear. He can't hear me right now.
No.
Yeah, I don't think he can hear anything.
I don't think he can hear anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
He would have to go into his settings and make sure his microphone and his headphones or whatever, however he's listening to audio, is selected. I'm trying to figure out why it would do that mid conversation though, unless he touched something. But the only other thing I can think of is him leaving and coming back. But other than that, I'm not sure exactly what he can do. You could try to do another room, maybe if you want to record it and then we can air it later. Or if he wants to leave real quick and come back, try to see if that would work. That would be my first. The easiest thing to do is to see if he can leave and come back. And that might reset whatever happened. I'm not exactly sure why his audio would cut out. And also not even just his microphone, but his ability to hear us as well. That's odd.
All right.
Okay. I sent him a message in the chat here.
Okay.
He said he's going to try to do both of those things. And I guess.
And honestly, see if like maybe he hit something and muted his mic or whatever. I don't know.
Well, his mic's showing up unmuted on our end.
Yeah, I'm about to say he doesn't look muted.
So I don't know. And I tried checking in the background if there's any issues. I'm not really sure what's going on.
Hey, it's all good.
Yeah.
I walked away for 2 seconds. I was listening to y'all, and I had to get up for 2 seconds at work. And then I came back, and I was like, oh, wait, what's happening? I thought all of y'all were frozen. Y'all were just staring at the screen.
Yeah, we were. This is some really.
Hey, it's
I
all
can hear him
good.
typing, so I can definitely hear him.
Yeah.
I can hear him.
His microphone works. I can hear him. I just heard him breathe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Try to leave and come back and see if his microphone. I'll stick around and I'll just mute myself and see if we can troubleshoot this thing. But
gotta love live episodes, man.
Hey, it's all good, brother. Hey, it was good. It was good. It was good up until then, and at least we could say it wasn't your fault.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, we gonna get coach. We gonna get coach set up correctly.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna need one of those Protect Our Queens t-shirts. I'm just saying. Since we're here.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Yeah. Hey.
We're back.
All right.
Sir.
All right, we back.
We are
Yes,
back.
sir.
See, we have
All
mental
right.
toughness. We have mental toughness. We back.
Every time. You know what we do, Cole. You know how we do, man. We regroup, we push, we figure it out, we regroup.
Shout out to Jerry for helping us out, man. We appreciate
Yes.
that, brother.
Thank you, Jerry.
Brother.
Yeah. I love what y'all doing. Keep it going. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you, man. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Everyone that's watching, appreciate you guys for sticking with us through that. We're just trying to wanted to get that sorted out for you guys. Chaz, you were talking about the elite players in the women's game is where we were at before all that stuff kind of happened.
So we ran workouts at Orden Reed High School in South Philadelphia, right? A number of players attended. I mean, it was like a who's who in Philadelphia basketball, both girls and boys. One of those names in the crowd was a 17-year-old Diamond Johnson, right? 17-year-old. Now at this time, I'm older, but I'm still playing. I'm still playing like professionally, and we're scrimmaging. In the workouts, there is no different. Like boys and girls are in together. It's just what it is. We used to have Lauren Park Lane down there from Mississippi State, right? As an 8th grader, her nickname was I called her Little Uzi, right? That's when he first came about, right? That was her name, right? So she was this big with big glasses. The basketball was bigger than her. I'm like, what are you doing here, little girl? Go home, girl. Put that ball in there.
Right.
Oh, you can stay, Uzi. You can stay, Little Uzi. You can stay, right? So this is the caliber of people who would be down there, right? So Diamond's down there, and so we're scrimmaging, and I'm guarding Diamond, and they pass it to her on the wing. All right, I close out because she can, she's a decent shooter, so she drives by me. So I slide him. I can slide still a little bit. I'm not the worst guy in the world, and she pulls back on me, and for a split second, I had a bit of vertigo. I felt myself, my pride as a man. I said, if this girl comes to my workout and I fall down, workout's canceled for the rest of the summer. Nobody's coming back. They won't respect me. Right?
Yeah, that's the first girl that ever dropped you or hit you off?
Yeah, so I didn't fall. I was like, when I tell you, there was no cameras. See, cameras that wasn't
no cameras.
No cameras.
And I said, that was my real defense too. Like it wasn't like, you're playing like maybe with a little kid. It wasn't like that. It was like real. And she pulled back, and I don't know that because she probably couldn't feel what I was feeling on the inside. I don't know if she realized she almost made me fall because I caught myself.
Right.
So she didn't shoot it. She didn't smile. She just looked and she just swung the ball. And I was like, thank God. Because if this 16, 17-year-old girl make me, I can't come back here. I live around here.
Not here. Can't come back here.
So that was so they're not right. They're basketball players first. Like, trust me, right? And then I have another story. There was a woman we had in a roster for a time named Christina Nigwe, right? And she's about 6'5". She played at Cal Berkeley. She broke all these records, right? A basketball, just an athletic specimen. Mm-hmm. And we have another young lady, right, named Sika Kone, right? 20-year-old, second youngest player in the W. So Sika's trying to dunk after practice.
Right.
I said, Sika, what are you doing? You can't dunk. No, I mean, she's African. She's, I'm not going to keep trying it. Coach, just watch. She keeps trying. I'm like, oh, Sika, you're a bum. This is how we talk to each other. And Christina grabs the ball from Sika, and she grabs the ball out of her hand and says, Sika, you got to do it like this. Grabs the ball out of her hand, jumps up off of 2 feet, off the vertical, mind you, right? Dunks this basketball with 2 hands and hangs on the rim and says, here, do it like this. And I left. Listen, how am I around you for 2 months, right? And right. I don't know that you can dunk off the vertical with 2 hands. Do you know how many people can dunk a basketball just in the world? Like less than 1% of humans can dunk a basketball.
Right.
Let alone with 2 hands.
Right.
Let alone with 2 hands off the vertical. Let alone with 2 hands off the vertical, and you're a woman. I don't care who you are, what gender you are. That's elite, right? And it wasn't like, hey, get out the way, let me try this. It was no, just like it was so casual. I'm going home. I just walked right out. I walked right out. Yep. So they're elite on anybody's level. I don't care. Right? They're elite for sure. Kalia Copper. We played a bunch of time. I don't play anymore because My record ain't so spiffy against we've raced around the track. I ran college track for a semester, 4x1. Wasn't in the Olympics, but it's college track. I said, Kyle, you want to race me? Because we argue who's faster. He said, yeah, I'll race you. Now, I guess we're racing.
Guess we're racing.
I came in second. It was only a 2-man race. It was a 2-person race. I was not physically faster than Kyle, and I was running for real because. So, however you want to judge that, that's the level of women's basketball and women's athletics. I don't even want to say women's basketball. I just want to say basketball and athletic, and they just so happen to be a woman. That's it. Yeah.
I when I was in high school, and this was 16, 17 years ago, I brought Cappy to a few open gyms at high school with my teammates. And to this day, when I talk to my teammates, my teammates speak highly about women's basketball only because they remember to this day. They will describe it. They describe it like a horror film. From when, if I walked in that gym and Cappy was there, they were like, "Dad, that's what we doing tonight. That's where that's what's happening tonight." Because bro, and like Cappy was one of those that like takes your heart, makes you want to quit type of like
Chicago.
Chicago.
Come on, man. You know what we're talking about here.
Oh, you gotta say
cities, right? Yeah. Cappy didn't grow up playing against, little girls with bows in their hair and Barbie dolls. Cappy grew up playing against gang members, right? I know Cappy. That's who Cappy grew up playing against. And it wasn't. I think that there was maybe it was like Sebastian Telfair, right? See, I told you. I don't have to for real.
Giving him that work.
He's not a nobody. It's Sebastian Telfair, right? He's not just joking here, right? Yeah. So yeah, Cappy, that's a legend. You know what I mean? That's a legend for real. So yeah, you get it.
It's different when you see it up close. Trust me, it's a lot. It's very different.
Absolutely.
16, 17 years ago.
What's that?
You know how old I am. That shouldn't be news to you.
It's not news to me. Jeez.
Yeah. That would have been 17, 18 years ago. More 17, 18, more so. Yeah.
Three. Goodness.
You got to do the math. You're the smart way. You do the math, bro. You know how old I am.
I was 3. God. Wow. Jesus. One of the things that's most important to Martin and I, and I think, and this is a point that Martin drives home as often as he can, as most recently as our Saturday morning production meeting a couple days ago, is the importance of not just the Protect Our Queens podcast and what we want to do with it, but the fact that it's 2 black men every Tuesday night at 7:00 getting on YouTube and talking about women's basketball and how important that is specifically.
Right.
As a black man in the women's basketball space, because there are not a lot of them. And when you look on Instagram, Twitter, social media elsewhere, a lot of the loudest haters that are screaming from the mountaintops negative things about women's basketball, it is black men. How important is it to you to not just be a black man in women's basketball, but be a positive influence as a black man in women's basketball?
Well, it's of the utmost importance to me. First and foremost, I spent a great deal of my life raised by my grandmother, right, who was a black woman. My mother's a black woman, right? I had cousins. I have cousins that we grew up. There's a bunch of us, right? So they were like sisters. So like to me, little sisters, right? So in the environment that I grew up in, it was this kind of thing. It was wild during those times, and I grew up in a kind of environment where if I'm in the house and I don't know if this is still a thing, but someone disrespected my sister or harmed or threatened like one of my little sisters, I was expected to go out there and physically fight on their behalf in the street. And I went 2-27 during those fights. I lost every single fight. I had to keep getting out there, right? Because my sisters, they were rough. They had no fear, right? Maybe because I was out there taking all the beating. I don't know, right? But I couldn't be out there and let my sisters, right, be out here, street fighting with men in the street. So I had to get out there. Right? So that's the cloth that I was raised, that I was cut from, the environment that I was raised in. So for me, it's only an extension of that, right? To protect them at all costs, to speak positively. Whenever they're already a double minority, you already said African American, and a woman, right? So it's just so important. And then to be honest, with so many negative influence and negative images that we can see in entertainment, on the internet and social media, whether it be black men or black women, I just feel like it's of the utmost importance to kind of be a bannerman and a champion, for African American women in sports, whether it be on the court, off the court, in media, whatever position that they occupy at the time. I just feel like it's just the right thing to do first and foremost. And then it's something that's just near and dear to my heart. I don't have children at this point, right? But I would want someone to protect my daughter if I wasn't there to do it, right? So I kind of carry that with a badge of honor. And it's just what you just get. It's what you get with me. Elizabeth Williams would tell you, she's 6'3" and cut like a bag of dope. She's that's who she is, right? When Elizabeth Williams, or we're on the road and she wants to go visit a friend after the game, yeah, I'm walking you. She probably should be protecting me, right, based on stature, but I'm walking you. But you don't have to do that. Yeah, and yet here we are, still walking. So that's just what it is, right? So if I'm willing to do that in real life, right? Like really when you're walking through Chicago, really when you're walking through Brooklyn or LA, then to be able to do it online or just have that online presence or even just that voice, right? I mean, it's a no-brainer for me. And I salute gentlemen like yourselves, for locking arms and helping to push the culture forward, because it's of the utmost importance to me, for sure.
That's love, man. Hey, before we go to a quick break, Marcus and I actually want to get your Philly women's basketball Mount Rushmore. Yeah. Yeah, we need that. We need that.
All right. I would say it's 4, right?
Yes, sir.
It's 4. All right. Dawn Staley's she's got to go. She's on it. Right. That's we cool with that?
Right. Absolutely.
Given. It's a given. I don't know if she's a better player or coach. I don't know how you which right how you want to do it, right? But Dawn's up there, gold standard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Kalia Copper, right? 2 years ago, two years ago, she won every single award you could win. She won a WNBA championship, Finals MVP, EuroLeague MVP, Spanish League champion, Spanish League MVP, right? Something like a world championship, and she beat me one-on-one, and she beat me in a race. All right, she's there. She got it. So now that's 2 people. All right. Ooh. Yolanda Laney.
Ooh.
Let's go back in the crates. Let's go back in the crates. Yolanda Laney, right? Everybody knows Benaja, right? But she's cut from the gold standard, the talent pool, right? They won a national championship at Cheney State University, right? Everybody knows Cheney State. On the men's side, the men's coach was like the late, great John Cheney, right? The women's side was the legendary C. Vivian Stringer before Rutgers, right? That was a coach. So she's got to go there. Let me think. And it's tough. That 4th spot is tough. You know what? I'm gonna go somewhere. I'm gonna go somewhere different. My friend, my late great friend, her name was Linda Page. Her name was Hawkeye, right? She played at North Carolina State University. She played internet. This is pre-WNBA. Like this whole thing, didn't even exist back then, right? She scored 100-something points or close to. It was some big number, like almost 100 in high school. And she never passed me the ball ever. And she was older. She still was very selfish, a scorer, deluxe. She looked you over. I got you that next time. And that's who she was, right? And I just would like to just mention her. just to keep a memory alive. I mean, there's a bunch of players, right, that are certainly worthy to be there. But at the end of the day, you can only pick 4. I think the first 3, no-brainers for me, right? These are the pillars of the culture. And then I'm going to throw Hawkeye in there one time. And maybe she sees this from heaven and smiles. So, yeah, that's my 4.
That's love.
We are going to take a quick break, throw it back to a clip of the episode we did last Tuesday. And we're going to get your thoughts on some of the hot topics around the space. So one thing that's interesting about what the Aces are doing, right? Or not what the Aces are doing, what the Aces have done is when you have a team that is as dominant as the Aces have been and as dominant as the Aces were last season, what's happening is the league right now is responding to the Aces in what I would say is a very similar way to how the league responded to the Warriors when they went on their run and started running it, right?
Yes.
Warriors got on their run, right? Steph Curry got hot. Clay got hot. They brought in KD, right? Draymond Green was at the time one of the better, if not the best defensive player, right? So what are teams doing? They started getting a lot of shooters. Like we're getting it to a point where now the formula is you need 3 really good guards in your backcourt and a really good big down low who can affect the game, not just offensively, but can affect the game defensively. But most importantly, can also match up and potentially be the Asia Wilson stopper. So I love this for the Aces from the standpoint of their success has now dictated where the league is going. And we see that all the time. So WNBA free agency obviously opened up February 1st. So a lot of crazy moves. We had NECA and Skylar go to Seattle. We had Kalia Copper get traded from the Sky to the Mercury, which you messaged us about on Instagram and talked about how they're instantly now contenders in Phoenix. When you look at the landscape of the WNBA overall, right, and when you look at where all the talent is going right now, who would you say at this point is the biggest threat to the Aces three-peating? Because that's what it's all about. It's the Aces getting that three-peat this year. Is that still the Liberty because they were in the finals last year? Or do you think it's like, who would you say is the biggest, what team's the biggest threat, do you think, to the Aces?
Well, I mean, I guess you have to put the Liberty there because they're defending, right? They're the league runner-up from last year. They didn't lose it. I mean, nothing of significance at this point, right? So they're pretty much bringing the same crew back, and they have a year of experience together. Like just, and sometimes I guess when you, just like the old Miami Heat team, they didn't win it the first year when they put the super team together, but the second year, they kind of figured it out. So, I guess you could put them up there, but the thing that I love about the WNBA that I've noticed, man, you don't play these games on paper. Mm-hmm. You do not play. There's so much parity in the sense of, like, if we compare it to the NBA, if a guy is coming from Europe, right, he's a back tier, like bottom tier player at the back of the rotation or the bench or whatever, right? But in the W, there are players coming from Europe every single year.
Yeah.
Man, come on. Cynthia Cooper came from Europe, right? They're like, who is this?
Right.
I don't know. The female version of Michael Jordan? I don't know, right? You just don't know how it's going to go, right? So that's always comes into play with me. How is everybody playing overseas this year, right? Were you playing in Turkey, which was like the miniature WNBA, and you're going to be burnt out by the time you get here? Are you well rested like some of the Aces, right? Where they don't go overseas, many of them. I don't know. Who's going to challenge? Connecticut, right? You still have to. The reality is they're still a really tough team, right? You still got AT. You still got Bonner. You got those two. You got a puncher's chance, right? When you're representing a city like Chicago, if you don't have a puncher's chance, the city's going to make sure, right, you play with that energy because it's Chicago, right? You will fight to the bitter death no matter what. Bottom line, right? Where does LA stand in this whole equation, right? With a coach like Kurt Miller, right? I just saw something with him posted saying, "Oh, you're going to feel us. We ain't no super team, but you're going to feel us." See, I know when people talk like that, that's a thing building up. You got to watch them. They made a push at the end of last season with a roster that was injured, right? Where we weren't sure whether we were going to get in because, man, it was we up. That came down to the last game, right? Seattle is a Seattle now. Yeah. I mean, they're loaded. Skylar Diggins, is she like back? Is she back to like the old Skylar? We don't know. You got to see, right? And then, of course, Phoenix. How do you bet against Brittany Griner, Diana Taurasi, Kalia Copper, Natasha Cloud. Right? It's going to be a bloodbath all season, right? So you know who's going to win? The team with the most guts to be left standing at the end. Not because you're necessarily a better, like a more talented roster, right? I don't think that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to here, right? Who said, you know what? It's going to be me. Because I don't think it's coming down to X's and O's. I don't think it's coming down to skill. I don't think it's coming down to any of that. I think it's going to be a back alley brawl all season. And whoever's left, that's who the champ is.
In terms of like excitement, competitive excitement internally and even externally, as you talk to your peers, other coaches, other trainers, what have you, what are you sensing in terms of just the anticipation for this season with the Aces going for a three-peat, with Phoenix making that big move for Ka, and with Seattle? I mean, does it feel like, is it from just your conversations and being in there and talking to people and stuff, like, does it feel like this is going to be like a just one of the better WNBA seasons maybe we've seen in a while? Does it feel like that way to you?
Absolutely, because it started with free agency, right? This might have been the most frantic free agency, right, in recent history. I mean, it was going crazy, right? Yeah. Now, I got friends from Atlanta, Atlanta, and friends from Dallas. I mean, you talk to everybody, right? And say, hey, man, why ain't nobody talking about us? We ain't just, mashed potatoes over here. You know what? We'll see you this summer, right? So yeah. That's what it is. I mean, can you count out Enrique?
Right.
Can you count out Santos Sabat? She just went Germany. They just qualified for the Olympics, right? So, I mean, from the outside looking in, I anticipate a lot of excitement. But internally, I know everybody's just seems kind of revved up. People are taking things personally. It's personal. And this is our year, and no, it's not. Well, yes, it is. Well, we're gonna see y'all, and so I look forward to it. You guys are in for a treat this year for sure. I mean, I anticipate fireworks start to finish.
When we talk about excitement, obviously there's a new era kind of beginning in Chicago, right? We had a new head coach. How excited are you personally, internally, within the organization that you're a part of, not just for Coach Spoon being a new head coach, but also just how excited are you now? You had your, this is now, what is it now, your second year as director?
This will be going into second year.
How excited are you about this WNBA season for the Chicago Sky specifically?
Well, I'm always excited, like, first and foremost, for the players. Right. I'm excited for Dana Evans. Right. I'm excited for Marina Mabry. Right. These are people that, I've spent a considerable amount of time around. These are two players just off the top of my head that I feel like I know how good they are. I know how talented they are. Right. And the and just sports leagues in general, it's all about opportunity. Right. It's all about opportunity. I mean, just make no mistake about it. Kalia Copper ended up being the finals MVP, right? But she was also a player that got traded to Chicago. So theoretically, what that means is there was another organization that said, we're willing to give up that, right? And in retrospect and in hindsight, it seems crazy, right? So some of these players, right, that maybe you're not so familiar with or you're just casually familiar with, right? I mean, Dana Evans is I think she led all reserves in scoring in the WNBA last year. Super explosive scorer, incredibly gifted athletically. She's fast and she's quick. That's a rare blend. And she's strong. Right.
She played at Louisville, Chaz? Right. Yeah. So good. Yeah.
She's going absolutely nuclear over in Turkey, right? So I look forward to seeing her growth. Marina Mabry, different type, Jersey kid, right?
Yeah.
Off his nails.
Yeah.
All the tricks in the trade. Clever, right? Clever with the ball.
Yeah.
Big, strong, physical. really, that Notre Dame, that crew,
Yeah.
whatever they got going on over there, right? They're churning them out like player after play. I mean, I don't know what's going on over there, right? She can shoot the ball out 28 feet, 30. I know, we work out before game. Like I know who she is, right? And then you have someone like Isabel Harrison, right, who was having a good preseason, and then unfortunately went down to injury. So she's got something to prove. Now she can step out and shoot the intermediate shot, and she can step out and shoot the three. And she's 6'5", right? Like legit. Which means what? Well, now if Elizabeth Williams, who to me is the best rim protector in the WNBA, right? Well, if you put 6'5" next to her, well, now what? Now she's not the biggest person on the floor, the tallest person. Now what does that mean for her? When you have an Elizabeth Williams just flying around, blocking people's shots into the popcorn stand and all that. So I'm excited to see with it. And then I didn't mention Rebecca Gardner, right? She's coming back, right? Right. She was on the all rookie team before she went down with an injury, right? So I'm excited about the opportunity that the players are going to have. That's my passion and my direction and my focus is always towards them first, right? And I think if they have the kind of seasons that they're capable of having, right? If they can fulfill their potential, then the sky will be fine. Sky will be fine. Sky will be fine.
He's selling me on the Marcus. I'm excited. He got me excited about the Chicago Sky, bro. I'm excited.
I'm excited. Look, Chaz, man, I wish I had a brick wall in front of me. I'd run that. I'll tell you that.
And I know, a little nuance here, obviously, but obviously you guys, the Sky have the number 3 pick now too because of that trade. Anything in terms of just in terms of style, like in terms of what you think would work well, like anything that's on your radar or anyone that you think might work well with this group with that pick? Well,
you know what? I guess because it kind of depends on who's come. Like technically, none of them have to come out, right? So I guess we don't know.
Yeah.
Right? We really don't know what's available until it's available. Right? So I'm waiting with anticipation, just like you guys.
Right.
What I can say is this. If you are going to represent the city of Chicago, from an athletic standpoint, or really just in general, right? Certain play, like every player can't play in every market. Certain players embody the market. Right? I'm a Philly kid, right? Allen Iverson. I grew up on Allen Iverson. You would think we won an NBA championship, right? In the Iverson era, the way the feeling is. We didn't. We really lost 4-1 in the finals, right? But it's how he played the game.
Yeah.
He represented Philly well. So what I'll say is that for anybody that comes to Chicago, right, when you're losing a Kalia Copper, see, that's why Chicago love Cobb, right? Because North Philly and Chicago are mirror images of each other. That's what it is, right? She's fire all the way.
Yeah.
Fire. Never no discrepancy. She's coming right after you.
Yeah.
It's right at you. It's right at you. That's Chicago. So if you're going to represent Chicago, the only thing that I can say is you got to bring it every day. For sure.
I just, man, I need to find a brick wall so I can run through it.
You ready to play for Chicago?
I'm ready to play for Chaz. Get me out there. Listen, so the WNBA is growing. Women's basketball is growing, right? You had a unique opportunity in this preseason to be a part of that preseason game that was in Toronto.
Oh,
what was that? What was that atmosphere like? Right, we know it was one of the most watched, most attended preseason games ever. It broke a lot of records with the Canadian market. What was that experience like for you to be in that atmosphere for that game in the preseason? It was packed out for a preseason game. What was that like?
Well, it started before the preseason. I mean, it started before the game. Like the game was like the final culmination of it all. But you get to Toronto, and you're gonna practice at the Raptors facility. So you're talking about top of the line, right? And I'm just in heaven. I'm walking in, I'm going, and I'm a Philly dude. And they got Kyle Lowry's jersey there. Wow, it's Kyle jersey right nasty, right? And they have Kawhi Leonard's picture of his shot he made over the Sixers the year they won. And now I'm sick. Now I want to throw a, oh, God, I got to go do that. Then we got to get there and do the work. And the media is rushing in, right? And you're there, right? And the facilities are top of the line. And you can feel the energy. They're excited about basketball in Toronto, right? So then we go eat. Not just the coach, like the staff. And every commercial, for some reason, Toronto basketball, Toronto athletic, everything. Just on your everyday commercial. I mean, we see athletes here with endorsements, but this was different. Every single commercial had a Toronto sports star in it, right? So that took me out. And then I'm seeing WNBA commercials. And man, when I say I mean back up. And I'm like, wow, right? And we had on our Sky stuff. So people are stopping, hey, you guys, Sky, yeah, going through that whole number, right? And then we go see there's a statue, there's a WNBA, a statue there, right? So we go, we sign the statue, and there's hundreds of people and little kids, and the players are walking up, and the kids, they're looking like they're about to cry, and they're signing the statue. This is before the game didn't get started yet. This is just all, it's like the Super Bowl, right? It's the Super Bowl. It's a preseason game, right? And then you finally get to the game, and we don't, coaches, staff, however, you don't go out there. I mean, you warm up and then you leave. So you don't really know what you're walking into. So you got to imagine like the old Coliseum days, the old Roman time. You're walking, and you kind of see you walk in the Coliseum, and you walk out there, and you look up, and man, it's what, 18,000 people in there. You know what it looked like? It looked like CG. What was it called? CGI? What is that? What is it called? That's what it looked like, right? It looked like CGI, right? And you're looking, and I'm like, oh man, I'm looking. I'm like, man, this is time to go now, right? And I'm looking, right? And there's the legendary. I look down. It's Coach Reed, Cheryl Reed. She's there, and I'm like, damn, they want to like Simone Augustus. I remember I used to see her, Simone. Yeah, damn, that's there. She go right there. Yeah, I'm seeing Kyle, and their faces changed, right? Because it was the first preseason game. Yeah, like it was like the big one like that, and you see players become players on those times, right? It was a different level of thing. I'm like, oh, okay, y'all ready to rock and roll now, right? And you couldn't hear nothing. And at the time, James Wade was still coaching, and he's yelling, "Stop! We're going there!" But you couldn't hear that good, right? So I had to lean over real close, and I'm like, "Oh, they're about to get it on." So I say all that to say Toronto showed up and they showed out. I mean, that wasn't like great for women's basketball. That was just great for basketball, just basketball all across the world. I mean, you kidding me? Right? It was one of the great international basketball events of the year for sure. Something that I'll never forget. I took a ton of pictures. I still have a bunch of paraphernalia from Toronto. And I'm just so happy to just be, even if just a small part of that historic game outside of international United States soil. It was great.
That's dope, man. Thank you for sharing that experience with us too, bro. That's awesome. I mean, that was historic, man. That's so awesome to just hear that, hear about your experience, going through that. That's awesome, bro. The game is growing. And we have bigger stars, in the college game. We've got some bigger names, and stuff is kind of shifting and changing. We've got some big stars coming through, and we actually talked about it. We went to it a little bit on our episode last week. We kind of reacted to some of the stuff Cheryl Swoops had to say about dominating in the WNBA right away. And we wanted to get your perspective real quick, from a player development standpoint. What does it look like? Like for you, describe what it looks like in terms of the transition for of course, it's subjective. Some players are more ready than others. Some players are more gifted than others. But generally, in terms of that transition into the WNBA, can you just speak to that a little bit and what that looks like for the typical player?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would say is that you have 12 teams, right? And you have 12 spots. So you got 144 players, right? Here's the difference, the biggest difference between the WNBA and the NBA. The first thing that I would say, developmentally, it's murderer's row. You can be a first-round draft pick in the WNBA, and they can hold up your jersey, and you can go on the stage, and you come to camp and not perform well, and you can be home already. 2 days later, I've seen it. I've seen it, right? So therefore, when you're looking at the players currently on the WNBA roster, it's 12 killers on that team. Because every day they have to fight for their job. Like literally they got to fight for it like every day, every year. It ain't so simple. Maybe in the NBA, maybe towards the back of the roster, you know what I mean? It's a little fluff back there, some fringe guys. Maybe somebody else could have their spot in Europe, you know, whoever. It ain't like that in the W. In the W, everybody there is playing for keeps, right? With that being said, with all that experience that you gain, let's say somebody like Robin Park, right? Sky, or Rebecca Gardner, pick one. They're 30-year-old rookies, right? Rebecca Gardner was coming from UCLA, right? That ain't exactly Joe Schmo Community College, right? It's the UCLA Brewers. That's big time, right? She spends 8-9 years over in Europe. She's like MVP at times. She's playing in some high league, Euro League, Spanish league, right? And it's hard for me to imagine a 20 or 21 or 22-year-old kid coming in and outplaying a Rebecca Gardner. Just because the intensity level, the experience level, the pace of the game. I'm not saying it's impossible. Mm-hmm. I just think it's improbable. Mm-hmm. I think it would be more likely for a rookie to come in and dominate the NBA. Because how many good teams do you actually have? How many teams can maybe win in the NBA? What, 3? Right. 5? How many teams do you consider good? What, maybe 10? Right. So that means the other 2/3 of the league is what, like decent? Right. And then the bottom, you know, whatever. Like Victor Wembanyama, right? He's averaging 20 and 10, but at one point the Spurs lost like 15 straight games, right? So you can still get your numbers, right? You're beating up on somebody, right? In the W, you don't get to beat up on nobody. Right? You're playing against a real killer every single day. Mm-hmm. And I find that these women with that kind of pride, it's going to be hard. Now, Aaliyah Boston came in and, you know, she did some great things. Like some great things as a rookie. I've seen Diamond DeShields. She's had some moment at time, right? Mm-hmm. And then I've seen some other players say, guess what, rookie? Oh, party over. And then flip the whole switch. I don't know. That target is going to be crazy in your back, but that's why you're here, right? So it's the Champions League for sure. I don't know. You got some good ones coming, you know, coming to Caitlin Clark. You got them, right? You got them. You know, I like Cardozo, Camila Cardozo a lot from South Africa. She's big. She's got a bit of a mean streak. When I saw her, I saw a different thing. These freshmen, where are you making these people? Where you making these people? They're not making them on earth, right? Where are you making a Hannah? Where are you making her? Where are you making a Juju? Where are you making these people? Right? South Carolina, you guys see it. So it's hard for me to imagine them not being able to get off. Yeah. But then when I look at the Kalia Copper and even Diana Taurasi, even at this, you know, older age, I've seen her up close. That pride is something. That pride is something. I don't see nobody outdoing her pride. I don't see nobody baking Dana Evans. Not with that pride. So, like I said before, it's going to be fireworks this year. I
want to go back to the Philly thing for just a second, because again, as we're talking about women's basketball growing, expanding, obviously, this past couple months ago, we got the announcement that the WNBA in 2025 headed to Golden State. A lot of people after that preseason game, a lot of people want WNBA to head to Toronto. If there were a WNBA team in Philly, what would if you could decide the name for the WNBA team in Philly, what would you name that team?
Oh, that's a great question. WNBA team in Philadelphia, the name. The Philadelphia Assassins.
Go straight to Killer Squad. Hitters only.
Hitters only.
Because you can't. two things, right? You can't to make it out of a city like Philadelphia, right? I mean, you got to be blessed. You got to be lucky. Somebody had to pray for you, right? So, straight up, somebody had to pray for you. You can't just get out of here, right? Right? It's a tough place to get out of. And then you got to be a little crazy. You have to. It's like, I know you can probably relate to this, right? A little more. Back in the old days, they used to have like this thing called the Royal Rumble, right? In like WWF.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's in there. You're rumbling. You're trying to get out, get to the top. Joker pull you down. That's Philly. You got to beat 30 other people to get out, right? You got to make it out. You got to get right. Leah Copper had to go through Dawn Staley had to go through, right? So when I say assassins, you have to be a killer yourself to make it out of here, right? So I think the name would be appropriate. And I'm pleased, please, Philadelphia. It's one of the burgeoning basketball hotbeds in girls basketball. I mean, God, we got like 5 players right now ranked national. They're all over the place. And that's just Philadelphia. I didn't mention South Jersey yet.
Right.
Delaware, are you kidding me? I mean, they go high major, right? So, I mean, you want to talk about fan support, whether it be positive or negative, because we talking about Philly. You know how it go, right? Right? It go both ways. Right. I mean, Philly will show up and show out for it. I mean, we are begging the WNBA, right, for a franchise here in Philadelphia, man. We deserve it and we need it.
Man, based on that name, I'm gonna take it a step further. I got Marcus, when I come up with my theories, I'll take it a step further. I spent some time with Hannah Chaz. I covered her in high school, did a feature on her her sophomore year during the COVID season, spent some time with Orlando and her mom and stuff, and I love her, love the whole family. I've been a Hannah fan for some time, been watching her since she was in like 6th or 7th grade. But huge fan, of course. I would nominate Hannah as the starting point guard for the Philadelphia Assassins. I mean, that would just feel right. By the time Hannah comes to the W, coach, I would hope Philadelphia. I would hope we could get that thing rolling, because man, that just feels like that could be it. That's what that would just work, man.
Well, I'll tell you something about Hannah, right? I'll tell you something. There for a time, right? I considered myself, and this is why I don't like Hannah. You ready? That's why I don't like Hannah. Because I considered myself to be the best point guard in the family for a while. I had it. And then I have a younger cousin. His name is Maurice Watson Jr., right?
Okay.
He plays internationally. He's playing, I think, in Turkey right now. Okay. Then he got me. This guy's better than me, man. But I'm cool with that. It's my baby cousin. You know, got that. Right. Then he marries a girl. Okay, good. God bless you. You're married. And it's Hannah's big sister. So now, right, by the power invested in me by the state of Pennsylvania, I drop from number 1, right, to number 3, probably 4. I got another cousin playing at Louisiana Monroe. He's playing point guard. Oh, man. I'm not even in the top 3 point guards anymore. She's 1. She's better than all 3 of us put together. Right? That's who she is. She's just a ball of competitive fire. You would never know by her little voice. That it's Jekyll and Hyde.
You would. I said, Hannah, you love the Lord so much, and you're so sweet and nice and stuff. But you on that court, you turn into a demon, girl. You act like you behave like like rude almost. You're like, I'm like, Hannah, all that just goes out the window. Like, Lord.
I haven't, and I mean,
I've never seen anything like it.
She's the headliner for sure, but I'm telling you, it's about 4 or 5 of them in the area. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And they're coming. I'm around them. I've been in the gym with them. I've worked out with them. I've seen them at locally, right? Go at it. I've seen them nationally in Chicago, at EYBL. They win a national championship. I'm seeing them, and I'm like, yo,
They're coming.
oh, they on their way. Yeah, they on their way. So Philly, if Philly can get a team here with that regional fan base here, I mean, it would be an absolute. And then what's that East Atlantic corridor? You got Connecticut, then you got New York, then you got Philly, you got DC. It'd be like the NFC East of the WNBA, right? We can just get it on. Yeah. And Philly want to see that too. So we got to get a franchise in Philly.
Since we're talking about putting teams together, if you had all players in women's basketball available, both college and the W, and you were putting together a starting five for your basketball team, who's on that starting five?
Dang, he's trying to get me banned. I'm gonna get a lot of DMs from this one. All right, I can pick anyone.
College or pro to put on the team.
Take your time, coach. Take your time. I know this is about to be a 5 for the ages.
No. All right. Let's start at the 3 positions. In my opinion, there is no better two-way player on the wing than Kalia Copper. The intangibles have always been there, the athleticism, the competitive fire. But now, with her shooting the three, the way she's shooting it, the IQ that's underrated, the competitive, the will to win, stellar team, all that fly stuff. Yeah, I'm going there. All right, let's start there. Oh man, at the 5. All right, at the 5. I went down to Duke to watch the USA basketball play against Duke in an exhibition game. And I had the great pleasure of kind of up close meeting. I mean, I kind of met in passing before, but I got to meet BG for a second and talk for like a little bit. And I'm going to tell you what, you don't really understand how massive and how physically dominant BG is until you give BG a handshake and a hug. Right? You see what I'm saying? BG eclipsed me. And I just can't think of, I mean, there are other talented 5s, right? Like the other talented 5. But 6'9", the shooting touch.
Yeah.
Walked us down to the block when we played. We were the Sky. We played Phoenix. BG's first game back in Phoenix. That was our game. Right. And boy, thank God, Elizabeth Williams deflected a ball at the end because we couldn't stop. Yo, man,
she was getting right to it. I remember watching the first game, thinking yo,
just walks you right to the block, walks you there. What are you gonna do? Right. So, so I got BG.
Okay.
I got BG. I could pick a lot of point guards, but I'm not going to go against family.
Whoo! Good God.
I'm taking Hannah.
Whoo! Wait.
I'm going to live with it. Now, are there other players with more experience? Of course, in the WNBA, right? Of course, right? But is there anyone with more talent? Like the thing that God himself gives you, just the thing. You know what I'm saying? Just the thing. No, it can only be equal or lesser than. And there's other people that like talent, right? Now, just because you're more talented don't mean you be a better player. I'm just talking about the thing that you can't teach.
Right.
Hannah has that in spades. And then when you add competitive nature, ability to elevate in the moment, right? The flair, stuff, the throw the ball under the legs, and one, right, with the little voice. And I said, yeah, and one. See, I see what that's what I want with my team, right? That's a big thing for me. Then we go shooting guard.
Woo.
See, this is a pro.
Where we going? Where we going, Chaz? Because that 135 is lethal.
No.
Woo.
Shooting guard. All right, let me go power forward first.
Okay.
The shooting guard is my anxiety. All right, I'm going Asia Wilson.
Whoo.
And the reason why is because after seeing Asia up close on a number of occasions this past season, we played them out of the playoffs. We played them, right? Asia Wilson plays like a person trying to make a roster. Her level of intensity is like somebody trying to make a roster. Wow. And I have never seen someone that big, that strong, that quick, at that level of intensity. That's the difference. It's the intensity level. There's a lot of fire in there. And if you and that's the difference. I think that's the difference. It's the fire. Yeah. Right. So the skill set obviously is there, but the defining characteristic is the competitive spirit. I mean, you can measure the speed because she's really fast too, like rim running, but fire.
Wow.
So it's a good front court. So now we at the wing. Whew. All right. If we're talking about me building this team,
that 2 guard is a special place in my heart, Chaz. That's my position. So I need that. I'm glad you saved it for last because I'm on the tip of my seat, bro. The way this team is shaping out. I'm like, man, who is the 2 on this 5?
What are we looking for in the 2 guard? Like, what do you guys? What fits with this team that we put together? Right? I'm GM Chaz right now. So what do I got to do? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Give me a bucket, Chaz. Give me a bucket.
Just a straight up bucket.
Give me a bucket.
Guess what? Guess who I'm going with? The pride of New Jersey. Give me Marina Mabry, and I'm standing on that.
Ooh.
Give me Marina Mabry. Ooh. My breakout player of the year. This is Marina Mabry. I've been watching in Turkey. 3-level scorer. Right? Talented enough to be a carrier. So like there was a game against, I think it was against Indiana. And I think, Kalia was injured. She didn't play. It was something, right? So Marina goes off for 36 that game, right? Right. And I just feel like she's on that cusp, right? She can be a person that can carry an offense, right, when needed, like in Turkey. But if she's the type of shooter where if you just quote unquote reduce her to being a spot up shooter, on her worst day, she's a 40% 3-point shooter. On her worst day, right? She gifted passer. She doesn't play the playmaker as much here in a W, but there's certain passes that she can make that I haven't seen anyone make. Anybody, right? Like I've seen her in Dallas get an offensive, somebody get a rebound, outlet to the Marina, and Marina made a bounce pass from free throw line to free throw line to a cutter, and they score. Do you, as basketball people, do you understand the degree of difficulty in that pass? Right? For one, you know how smart you have to be, and then you know how strong you have to be.
Yeah.
And then you know how cocky and sure of yourself you have to be to throw it, not on a laser, about boom, and it gets there. Right? So, workaholic. You have to make her leave the gym because she'll live in there, right? If you let her. And a good kid that gets a bad rap because of her competitive spirit. So I'm going Marina Mabry, and that's my 5. I got the Notre Dame backcourt, right? I got the pride of Rutgers University, right? The offspring of C. Vivian Stringer, Miss Kalia, freaking Copper, right? I'm going Asia Wilson at the 4, right? Straight rim run, and then I got the mountain in the middle, BG, and we going to war like that. I like that 5.
That's a monster 5.
I like that 5.
That's a monster 5, Marcus. I don't know. That's I don't know who's doing what with that.
That's a championship five. I don't know. Whew, I might need to go. I'm gonna go put that in 2K and see what that looks like.
That's a good find.
You have a lot of fun with that one.
I'm gonna put them in 2K and see what they look like. That's a five.
Last five for you, Chaz, before we get out of here. Last five, we finished the show with every guest with this one. Give us your top five queens. So usually when we've talked to players, we usually ask them to name their top five queens in their lives or their top five hoop queens. Any women's basketball inspirations in their lives now or in the past throughout their life. So I'll leave it up to you how you want to how you want to categorize it, but we want to get a top five queens. Coach Chaz Franklin, either your top five hoop queens or and some of them might overlap. So just your top five queens in your life that give you that energy and inspiration that makes you the man that you are today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first one, I always mention this and I'll continue to mention it. It's my late grandmother, Elaine Jean Franklin. You know what I mean? She is still my inspiration to this day. She is like my forever queen. We just had a unique bond that just, that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. And, and then all of my cousins too, they had the same bond, which goes to show you how special she was, right? In my mind, I'm the favorite, right? In their minds, they're the favorite because she loved all of us in that way, right? So that's my first queen, to say the least. And then you know what? My next queen I would like to name our former First Lady, Michelle Obama. Big time queen. The epitome of class, of strength, like the personification of strength, but not abrasive. Graciousness. Class. I like that, especially in this world today where get a little tricky, right? But still down to earth. Still Beyonce's at the death, double Dutch at the death, right? So that's a queen for sure. I have another queen. She's currently the head women's basketball coach at Temple University in Philadelphia. Coach Diane Richardson, right? Recently met her the past few years. Just a ball of energy and inspiration, leading a group of women over there on North Broad Street. Welcome myself, as well as Kalia, right, into her facility, where we needed to work out. But it wasn't just about a gym at all. I'm good with energy and I'm good with people, like understanding who people are. Because in my environment, you had to make flash judge. You had to make them right. If you judge wrong, right, you're in trouble, right? So you got to be able to read these people quickly, right? And just a joy to be around. I just love her spirit, right? Absolutely love her spirit. How many is that? 3?
That's 3.
5 queens. My mother, Lynn Franklin, right? She's on my queen list for sure, obviously. Gave me an unreasonable standard and expectation for myself. And what I mean by that is, hey, do your best. But your best is straight A's. I know it. Your best is straight A's. Bottom line. I'm like, well, yeah, no, your best is straight A's. Trust me. I know my son. Like, go be great. You can do it. Mom, the world don't think I could do that. They don't think I could be that. Nah, you can. Trust me, you can. You better. Right? So that's one for me. And you know what? I'm gonna shock y'all with this one. But I'm gonna give a big shout out to Elizabeth Williams, right? Chicago Sky. And here's why. I'm gonna say Elizabeth Williams because she is the personification of class and professionalism. Okay. I have never in my life met a woman that was so accomplished and so talented and gifted, and yet so humble. I went to Duke to go see the game. There's 3 jerseys retired ever at Duke. Once again, this ain't Joe Schmo Community College. This is the Blue Devils, right? I think it's like Elena Beard. I forget who the other one was, but the third was Elizabeth Williams.
Wow.
A shrine to Elizabeth Williams.
Wow.
Shrine. And when she's done playing, she's going to be like a doctor. She's really smart.
Wow.
And just never complains. Never, like a leader by example. Just class. As she say, bougie, because she like to eat at fancy places and stuff that I can't afford. She make more money than me. Right. Never made me feel bad about that. A monster in the weight room, transformed the whole body. Hard to do. Transform a nutrition. It's hard for people to change. And Elizabeth Williams is the epitome of class and professionalism. She's like the Players Association president, something like that. Just one of the great national treasures, and not just women's basketball, but just sports and athletics. So those are my 5 queens, man. I think that's a good list.
It's a great list.
Yeah, I'd say that's a great list. There's one more question I have.
Sure.
Before we go, and Martin says a lot that we like to troll the trolls.
Okay.
So I just want if there was one thing you could say to women's basketball haters, the people that go out of their way to hate on women's basketball, what would that thing be?
Well, for the guys that are like non-pro basketball players, right? First and foremost, I mean, golly, it really makes you a man picking on women, like first and foremost. I mean, it's not my kind of guy. Just all I always had a problem with that. Like, I mean, who trolls women? Who looks to bully women? Who looks to berate women? I mean, what kind of man are you? Right? Gotten in a couple of fights over the years. Right? So, I mean, I consider these guys to be less than a man all the time. It's one thing to have an opinion, right? But to be, they always say, hey, women, protect women and children first, right? These kind of things. So I always looked at these guys with a bit of a side eye, right? Like when we start talking just straight up hoops, that's one thing. But sometimes it seems like these attacks are personal. And I always question who you are at the core, just as a man. When your selling point is to attack women. All right. So I think that these guys are lames in that regard, straight up. And then for the guys that are in the NBA, I'm not sure that many of them have even taken the time. Like, if you're like a basketball purist, like if you love, you know what it is a lot of times too? A lot of these guys, or just a lot of people, like they're in love with the things that come with basketball, but not like basketball. Like that you grew up on for like free before you was thinking about like all this other stuff, just in its purest form. And so I say, I challenge these guys to just take another look, man. Like a closer. Because if you really like basketball at its purest form, I don't see how you could not love women's basketball. Right. It's one thing for me to be able to throw a bad pass, right? And you to be able to jump 50 inches off the floor and you catch it and dunk, and that's a good play, even though my pass stunk, and you just using what God gave you, right? It's another thing in the women's game where you have to be fundamentally almost perfect with everything. It's like watching Picasso at work. Everything's got to be on point. The warrior mentality got to be on point. Some of these women are playing in Europe 8 months, 9 months out the year, and then come play in the WNBA the other time. And I played overseas, and you go over there, you ain't a role player. You play in a major role with a lot of wear and tear. So I would go as far as to say some of these women are better men than some of these men, quote unquote, which is crazy to me. Right? Some of these dudes couldn't cut it. And I'm a guy, right? I'm a dude, but you know what I mean? I'm just calling it like I see it. You know what I mean? It's not easy. It's not easy what they do, and I respect it. Anybody that's been around it, you respect it for sure. So that's trolling the trolls.
That's all. I'm gonna save. I'm gonna put that in my pocket for anybody. Anybody I need to shut down. Absolutely.
That's tonight was great. Aside from the 10 minutes when StreamYard didn't want us to be great, I thought this was exceptional. We appreciate you again for coming on the show. Of course, taking the time out of your schedule to sit down, talk hoops to us. We greatly appreciate it. We of course thank all the people who are currently tuned in, all the people who will tune in, whether it's to the full live show or to the clips that are posted throughout the course of the week, either on Instagram, on our other socials, or on the Give Us a Shot Network YouTube channel. And I do, on behalf of the show, want to give a special thank you to Mike Powers, owner of the network, who is the reason why this is happening in the first place. It was a great conversation the two of you guys had last week, and I'm glad that we were able to kind of have another excellent conversation with you here on Protect Our Queens, on the Protect Our Queens podcast. And so a huge shout out and a huge thank you to Mike Powers. Just for you guys who's wondering, I haven't told Martin this yet, so Martin's going to hear this for the first time. The clip that we have of Cheryl Swoops, that clip of our discussion about Cheryl Swoops' comments on Caitlin Clark is the most watched and the most interacted with clip on the Give Us a Shot Network YouTube channel. I found that out last night from Jerem on Stuff About Sports.
Wow.
Which is good to hear.
Yeah, it's good. There's been warfare in there, man. I've been in there fighting for my life. I've been I'm not going crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? So hey, man. Yeah, more power. Hey, it's all love though. It's all love, but you know, sometimes you got hit him with the other side, Chaz. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got on the other side. It's been warfare in there, boy.
So we are eternally grateful. I mean, we know why there's so many views, so many comments, because there's not a lot of great things happening over there. But we appreciate the engagement. We appreciate the engagement nonetheless. Because we truly care about the game of women's basketball. And it is again a privilege to have Coach Chaz Franklin, the Director of Player Development of the Chicago Sky, on the show with us tonight. We will be back right back here next week, same time, same place, with more great women's basketball. As I said, I don't know anybody else. Chaz Franklin has me wanting to run through a brick wall.
Thanks.
Right now. And I really do. I wish I could find myself a brick wall. I'd run right through it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning in. And as I say every single night, this is a place where women's basketball fans can come, enjoy the game of women's basketball in a safe place. And if you're not down with that, we have 2 words for you. So for my guy, Martin Soares, and our esteemed guest, Chaz Franklin, this is Marcus of the Protect Our Queens podcast signing off. Thank you guys for watching. And until next time, you guys go enjoy yourselves some basketball.